My emotional response to this fragrance has been all over the place, and I love it. Hello, welcome back to Seldomly Often. I'm Daniel, today we're talking fragrances, and this is a practical review of Zoologist Bat. These reviews are for fragrances I have a lot of experience with, multiple wears and many situations, and are meant to give you a general idea of what it feels to wear the fragrance. As per usual, I do a lot of research before buying fragrances, but I don't really like to go into details about notes in a course because I don't think that they help the end user. I'd rather talk about the wear experience as a whole. There's currently 3 brands of fragrances that I'm really struggling to put out reviews for. One is Zoologist, the other one being Toskovat, and the third one being Meo Fusciuni. All of these fragrances have one thing in common. They're very difficult to understand, they're very difficult to talk about, and it takes a lot of time to formulate a review. It takes a lot of time for me to come up with my ideas about certain fragrances, especially the more complicated ones. This one here is definitely one of those fragrances. The first time I smelled this, I was like, what the heck is this? I was actually kind of disappointed. This came across as relatively subtle compared to other Zoologist fragrances, and especially compared to other creations by the perfumer Prin Lomros. I ended up having to give this 6 or 7 wears, maybe even 8 full wears, to really understand what was going on. And when this fragrance clicked, it really won me over. Now, this is actually one of my favorite Zoologists ever. It's so complex, so fine nuanced, and it's not shouty at all. It's really not designed for that. This, after all, is meant to replicate a bat. A bat is a quiet, nocturnal creature. This fragrance really hits on that mark. Before delving into the fragrance a little bit more, I just want to quickly touch upon the brand of Zoologist in general. I absolutely love the brand of Zoologist. I'm enamored by the concept and execution. I really applaud Victor Wong for the job that he's done and that he keeps on doing. All of the fragrances are absolutely incredible. There's not really one that I don't like. Yes, there's some that are a little bit more underwhelming, but I still have a fond respect for them. And at this point, I have a ton of fragrances. I'm up to 16, all of them in the classic bottle design, but we'll touch upon that when I talk about the presentation. At this point, I'm kind of a collector for the brand. I'm a sucker for the brand. I really endorse the brand, and I really want to support the brand by owning the fragrances. They really speak to me. They're so fun. They're so refreshing. It's such a novel, quirky take on perfumery. The industry definitely benefits from that surge in creativity that really sparks competition. The users definitely benefit from the fun factor. They're an overall force for good and a net positive in the fragrance industry in general. I really applaud Zoologists, and that's why I like them so much. As mentioned, Zoologist is a niche Canadian fragrance house that puts out products based on animals, their environment, or the idea that we have of said animals. I really like the concept. Some animals get a more straightforward rendition than others. Some are very, very abstract. Like in the case of T-Rex, you really don't know what the smell of a T-Rex is. You really don't have an idea of the environment of the T-Rex, but there's this sort of imagination of lava, flowers, or rather prehistoric flowers, just everything coming together. Bee is a lot more straightforward and rendition. Not necessarily in the sense of the smell of the bee itself, but there's a very, very photorealistic idea of honey. They have a ton of fragrances, each depicting their unique animal. The latest releases from late 2024 and 2025 sound absolutely amazing. There's the Portuguese man-o-war, there's the mantis, and there's the olm, some sort of a cave dweller. Speaking of caves, bat is also one of the more unique depictions in the Zoologist line. It doesn't necessarily depict the bat itself. This, by the way, is a fruit bat. It depicts the cave environment and what the bat eats. It's a very particular thing. It's very difficult to wrap your head around because the scent is unusual, yes, but it's also kind of unexpected. You don't really know what you're getting until you wear the thing throughout, until you really focus on the scent itself. And by the way, just to be clear, this one here is a review for the current formulation of Bat available on the marketplace. This is Bat 2020 perfumed by Prin Lomros. This fragrance is actually a sequel to Bat 2015 perfumed by Dr. Ellen Covey. I'm not necessarily sure why they went for the redesign, but the original version of Bat is basically unbuyable. It's very, very rare, very difficult to find. Yet, you can find the exact same formulation under another brand called Olympic Orchids, and the fragrance itself is called Night Flyer. It's still depicting a bat. I haven't smelled that. I really want to get it, but it's kind of difficult to get in Europe. And if you're not familiar with Prin, one of my favorites, he's an incredibly creative and talented perfumer from Thailand that has done other stuff for Zoologist, namely Sloth and Rhinoceros. And by the way, I absolutely love those 2 fragrances. He also owns and perfumes for 3 other houses, namely Stranger Perfumes, Prisana, and Prin. His fragrances are incredible. They're super complex, they have a ton of notes, they're really, really deep and rich. The issue is that his brands specifically are insanely difficult to navigate. He has so many freaking offerings, and you really never know what is available to purchase on the catalog. It's very difficult to identify what is supposed to be smelling like what, and the brand identities in general for his 3 brands are absolutely terrible. He definitely would deserve and need a marketing redesign. Anyway, Bat is amazing. I really like his creations. I really like the way he constructed this fragrance. It's so evocative, so tranquil, and it's a strong departure from basically a lot of the stuff he does. It's very, very unique. It smells like a cave. It smells like rotten fruit. It smells like darkness. It's so peculiar, but we're going to talk about the scent profile and wear experience after we cover the presentation. But before that, quick little shout out. I just want to give credit to the brand of Bogue for sending out this amazing high quality polo. I got contacted by the brand about a month ago. They were asking me if I wanted to wear 3 of their shirts on video. I said yes because I had zero impact on fragrances, so they sent them over. This one here is a polo. I let them choose whatever they want. I just said that I needed short sleeves because I wear perfumes on my arms. This has been such a high quality polo. I'm so surprised. I love it. It's just so comfortable and it fits really well. It's tight in the right places, loose in the right places, and it just drapes over your body beautifully. The fabric, the textile is really high quality. It's synthetic, but it feels really well made. The garment itself in general feels really well made. The stitching is on point. Everything feels well built and resilient. Thank you, Bogue, for sending these over. If you want to keep sending them over, I'll keep featuring them. Thanks, I always need shirts. I hate shopping, so this is a win for me. Presentation-wise, the Zoologist fragrances are an easy win in my book. They're so fun, so iconic, so recognizable. They have this vintage style to them, which is kind of resembling an old school barbershop bottle. I really, really dig it. This one here, as I mentioned before, is part of the classic bottle design. The brand in general has gone through a whole redesign of the bottle recently, unfortunately, and I say unfortunately for 2 reasons. One, because the new bottles will stick out like a sore thumb in my collection when I do eventually purchase them, and I'll have to eventually deal with that OCD. And 2, because I truly think that the new bottle design doesn't hold a candle to this old classic. The redesign was a necessity because apparently they were applying these labels by hand and it was starting to become unsustainable. The new bottle is cylindrical and the design of it allows it to go through a machine for auto labeling. It's a little bit of a pity because I don't like drastic redesigns like this, but I get it. I get it, and if it's good for the brand, I will put up with it. But now that we got that out of the way, let's dive into the presentation proper. As I said, I'm enamored by these bottles. Obviously, the centerpiece of the presentation are these animal portraits. I really, really like them, especially the one for Bat. There's others that are some of my favorites. These are all drawn by the same person. Kudos to her, she did a fantastic job. These animals are so full of character, they're so unique. I love these portraits. You can see the portrait on the bottle and on the box way bigger. That's why I keep the boxes. Well, I keep the boxes for pretty much everything, but specifically for Zoologists, they're a treasure just for that portrait. Anyway, onto the haptics of the bottle, starting off with the cap. The cap holds on to the bottle with friction. It's very well weighted. The cap itself feels extremely high quality. It's metal, it's heavy, it's weighty, and it has an engraving on top. The thing that I don't like about these old style caps is that they're wrapped in this pseudo leather, which gives the cap a little bit of a cheap feeling. I get it that Zoologist doesn't want to use animal products. They're very vegan friendly, they're very sustainable, so I appreciate that. A full metal cap would have aided the presentation a little bit more, making the bottle feel overall more luxurious. By the way, the new bottles have a full metal cap, but I've never handled any of them, so I don't know what they feel like. The atomizers for Zoologist fragrances are actually really good. They're super pressurized. They really mist the fragrance in a surprising manner. And the atomizer haptics are also very good. They're a joy to spray. You can even do half sprays. Let's give this fragrance a couple sprays. Beautiful mist. And by the way, I have been wearing this fragrance at work almost on daily. It's a very beautiful fragrance to wear. It's a very peculiar fragrance to wear, kind of challenging. Due to its subtle nature, I actually feel that it's fairly office safe, especially in the dry down. In the dry down, the scent becomes a lot more normal, a lot more easy to understand, and it sits really close to the skin, so no fears there. No one better than I got no weird looks, no comments, no nothing. I really like this fragrance. Continuing on the presentation down to the bottle, the glass of the bottle itself feels reasonably high quality. It has a little bit of an artisanal look. It feels a little bit handmade. It has a little bit of surface imperfections. You can't see signs of molding. It feels different. But overall, I can't complain. It really suits the bottle and the brand design in general. As I said before, the labeling is the star of the show, and other than the beautiful illustration, the labeling itself is really well stuck on. It feels extremely high quality. Overall, can't complain. The presentation is top tier, and it's really fun, really characterful and iconic. It's super recognizable. Unfortunately, and here comes the sour part, in this section I also cover pricing and value for money, and Zoologist fragrances are not cheap by any stretch of the imagination. They're actually very expensive. And I also forgot to mention that the classic bottles are 60 ml, and the new bottles are also 60 ml. So you're not getting a ton of liquid for a lot of price. So how much is it really? We're talking over $200, and if I recall correctly, the brand recently had a pretty big price increase across the board. These fragrances are fairly unique, they're pretty niche, and difficult to find even at discounters. And if you find them at discounters, don't expect a giant price drop. So yeah, to get these, you're gonna have to pony up. Overall, I kind of think that they're worth it. They're very unique. Nothing else on the market smells like this. Nothing else on the market has this presence, has this fun factor, has this unique factor that Zoologist has. I like the brand. I will continue buying these fragrances, especially in the classic bottles. If I find any, I'll just grab them. Recently, I grabbed Cockatiel, which is amazing, and I love it. Super challenging, very strange. I do not regret owning any of these. They're really cool, and I do think that they're a breath of fresh air in the fragrance industry in general. But it's finally time to talk about the wear experience and scent profile for Zoologist Bat. What does this actually smell like? As I said before, this is a very particular fragrance. It's very difficult to describe, especially the first time you spray it on. You are kind of just caught off guard. It's also relatively disappointing and underwhelming the first times because you don't really understand it, and it's subtle. It doesn't really project a lot. Thank God for that, by the way, but we'll get to that in a sec. And it's just different. It really wears differently. But when this clicks, it really starts to make sense. So this basically smells like a damp cave, a little bit of an earthy cave with rotten fruit. It's more about the bat's environment and less about the animal itself. I don't even think that the majority of people, me included, would even be able to picture the smell of the bat, the animal itself. It's such an elusive creature. It hides during the day, and it's generally very difficult to see. This one here is more about the mustiness and the dampness of the cave. There's a little bit of animalics in here, probably due to the guano. We'll talk about that later, but it's mostly due to rotten fruit. And this rotten fruit is probably relating to the bat's diet. The bat, as I mentioned before, in question here is a fruit bat, and they eat bananas, they eat tropical fruits. It's a big ass bat, and it's a very interesting representation of a said animal. This scent is very difficult, especially in the opening. It's very peculiar. It has a lot of presence, yet it's subtle. It has a lot of body. It just wraps around you like a fog. When you put your nose to your arm, as soon as you spray it, you pick up on a lot of mustiness, a lot of moldiness, mixed with some animalics and this rotten fruit, which is very prominent. The scent opens up strong, yet subtle. It's a very strange thing. And again, if you're into niche fragrances, if you bought this expecting bombastic performance, you will be slightly disappointed. Zoologists are known to be pretty bombastic. This one here is deceptively so. It's present, but you don't really know it. I think there's some sort of synthetic that I might be anosmic to. I think that this whole wear experience is kind of by design. Zoologist fragrances are usually pretty bombastic. This one here is much more subtle than expected, and I'm actually kind of grateful for it because the opening, as I said, is pretty strange, pretty intense. And it's not necessarily dirty in the way you would expect. There's no prominent pissy or poopy note. There's just a general muddiness, a mustiness. The soil feels alive. It feels rich in microfauna. It feels rich in nutrients. It feels damp and humid. It's a little bit rotten. It's a little bit metallic. It's a little bit mineralic. It's very realistic and kind of unsettling. And once you get to grips with this opening, once you understand it and just kind of succumb to it, then the scent starts transitioning. This scent here has 3 distinct phases. It's really particular. So this opening is hard. It's hard and it's harsh and it's a little bit stinky. It's subtle though, so unless you get your nose really in there, you will not pick it up right away. But if you are into niche and fragrances in general, if you are a perfume fanatic, I know you will put your nose to the fragrance. Just beware, the opening is pretty weird, it's pretty hardcore. Anyway, going back to the phases, other than the one I just talked about, the very first opening, the scent transitions fast into phase 2, which is kind of like the mid-dry down. And here the scent becomes a lot more fruity and it loses a lot of the rottenness factor. The fruitiness at this stage is actually pretty pleasant and enjoyable. You just get a general tropical vibe, maybe a little bit of a banana, maybe guava, passion fruit, maybe even a little bit of pineapple. The pineapple, if in here, comes across as very ripe. There's no acidity in the fruitiness. There's no citricness. It comes across more like a fruit smoothie, very overripe. It's not macerated, it's not rancid, it's not fermented. It's just kind of like on the verge. It's a strange feeling because when you're in this stage, you don't really know how you got here. Those animalities, which are pretty prominent in the opening, just kind of evaporated out of nowhere. That mustiness, that earthiness is gone. You're just here and you're kind of waiting for something to happen. Then you blink and you're immediately in the deepest of dry down, again, without really realizing how the scent changed. It's a very difficult scent to keep track of, very difficult to deconstruct. The third stage is by far the most calm. It's definitely skin scent territory, and the scent picks up on a lot of metallicness. It's a lot more deep into the cave figuratively. And given the fact that a lot of the longevity of the scent is distributed in the third dry down stage, I've had a lot of time to think about it. This is kind of reminding me of the deepest of dry down of something like Orto Parisi's Risveglium. It's very metallic, very, very musky, it's very sharp, but you don't really detect it unless you really go close to the skin. And when you do get close to skin, and by the way, I have a dry down of the scent on this arm because I wore this to work today, you'll start noticing a strange combination of acrid smokiness, a musky sweatiness, a very metallic musky sweatiness at that, and then there's this ashy earthiness. The earthiness from the opening kind of comes back, but it's much more dry. The ashiness is mostly referring to the texture. It's incredibly fine powdery. It feels like it's coating your arm and drying it out. There's also a specific bitterness from the ashiness, which is very recognizable. It smells like vetiver. It smells like a dry vetiver. It's very particular. The deepest of dry down, again, is not too dissimilar from something like Orto Parisi's Risveglium. It has this lingering smokiness of it. It feels acrid, it feels ancient, it feels like it's been there for a super long time. The sweaty aspect is noticeable, obviously. It's very metallic, especially on my skin, and this is probably due to my skin chemistry. The sweaty aspect in a lot of fragrances like Orto Parisi's Risveglium, like Bergamasque, just comes across as very, very metallic on my skin. But nonetheless, I get this very metallic, scratchy, screechy sharpness to it. And I'm kind of overemphasizing here because I don't really smell the skin. If I'm like waving my arm here, I can't smell anything. Only if I go really close, I can pick this specific scent profile up. I think it has a degree of masculinity in it. It's kind of sexy in the rugged sense. The wear experience, the projection itself fades off in a very linear, very well-balanced manner. It's the scent profile itself which catches you off guard because this is almost 3 fragrances in one. It's super interesting. And again, the most interesting part is that you find yourself in a new stage without really realizing how you got there. It's a very particular experience. As I've been mentioning until now, one of the more recognizable features of this fragrance is definitely that deceptive subtleness. It's present, but it's also fleeting. You smell it, but then it's gone. It's kind of like chasing a shadow in darkness. It's trying to locate a bat in a cave. You feel it, you hear the guy flapping its wings, but it's very, very lost in reverb. You just can't locate it. It's lost in confusion. This scent is very, very confusing, and I love it because of this. It's so challenging, so thought-provoking. You wear this and you're just mesmerized by what perfumery can do. When it comes to tonal distribution, the scent has actually pretty decent dynamic range despite its subtleness. The subtleness is actually just turning down the volume. The tonal range is all there. The highs are basically characterized by these metallic notes, these mineralic notes, which are representing the cave, maybe the cave reverb. A lot of the middle notes are dedicated to the fruits, and then the base notes are these dry, arid, metallic, musky notes that you find in the deepest of dry down. It's fairly predictable, again, in construction, in the way it evolves, in the way it smells, yet it really catches you off guard. Bat, in my opinion, is an incredible feat of perfumery, an incredible feat of chemical engineering, really showcasing the creative and the talent of Prin Lomros. I really, really recommend it. Anyway, let's just dive into some practicalities, starting off with performance. The longevity of Bat is actually surprisingly good. This scent sticks around for a very, very long time. As I said in multiple times already, this scent is pretty subtle. It starts off subtle and it stays subtle. But the skin scent phase is so insanely long. It's about 12 hours. It's really, really persistent, especially on clothes. By the way, on clothes, this smells remarkably different. There's something about the way the muskiness interacts with skin chemistry which really pushes the scent alive. On clothes, this comes across as just muted. It smells spent. And all it achieves, all it does, is making your garments, your clothes, your t-shirt or shirt just smell humid and damp, kind of like a wet dog. It's really not representative of this fragrance whatsoever. The wear experience in general in the projection are very, very well tailored. It's super linear, very predictable. What is not predictable is the different scent profile this scent presents you, and this really impacts the versatility. Segueing into that, this fragrance is not really meant for versatility. It's not meant for daily wear. This is a very experimental, abstract, niche fragrance. It's kind of meant to be worn as an experience. I like it. I've been wearing it as my scent of the day a lot. As I said before, I put in 6, 7, 8, maybe even 10 wears of this, and I really, really enjoy it. It's subtle enough that it's not overwhelming. If this was a lot more potent, it would be completely unwearable, just because it's so particular, so unique. That being said, the subtleness kind of offsets the specific scent profile that this has. It doesn't really fit in any situation really, but it's kind of adaptable to a lot of situations. Again, I feel that it's fairly office friendly. Beware, if people come close, they will think that you haven't washed your clothes, or maybe that you put on your clothes when they were still damp. But other than that, this is pretty cool. And due to the abstract nature, it's also very, very unisex and can be worn by pretty much anyone. You have to really dig niche perfumery, very artistic stuff, very evocative stuff. When it comes to imagery and narration, Zoologist fragrances are really, really cool. They're super well done. And this one here is absolutely no slouch. Once this scent clicks, once you understand what it is, you cannot unsee the picture that this thing paints. It's this beautiful dark cave with a lot of activity in it. It's quiet but alive, very, very strange, dimly lit. There's like shadows bouncing off the walls. You can hear the bats flapping their wings. It's a very particular thing. It's super rich in detail while being kind of like in a thin layer. You really have to zoom in and just pick stuff apart to really understand what's going on, to really see the full picture. This is one of those scents that until it clicks for you, until you're able to focus on that specific image, it just comes across as confusing, almost to an upsetting degree. It's frustrating because you're putting this thing on and you don't understand it. Once you're able to see that picture though, it's amazing. It's so satisfying. You feel like you solved the riddle. It feels like putting on glasses and you've never seen anything better. It feels like watching something in 4K for the first time. Super cool stuff. I really applaud Zoologist and Prin Lomros. Amazing, amazing job on this. But it's time to present you with some options for my reviewed fragrance. In the case of Zoologist Bat, I really wanted to go for difficult to understand, difficult to deconstruct fragrances. The first one is definitely the most difficult, and to be completely honest, I still do not understand it. This one here is Douleur by Bogue. Bogue is a crazy house manned in perfume by another creative master, Antonio Gardoni. Antonio Gardoni is a really great perfumer. He's done some stuff for Zoologists, namely Tyrannosaurus Rex. This fragrance though is really, really harsh. It's sharp, it's edgy, it's unpleasant, it's really, really scratchy. It feels like nails on a chalkboard. It's a combination of mint notes, candy notes, marine notes. There's also oyster in here. It's so unsettling. It's very, very difficult to understand. And when I'm in those moments when I really feel like facing a challenge, I spray a little bit of this on and just let it sink in. It's so weird, so strange. This is probably the most unwearable perfume in my whole catalog. I love it, I hate it, but mostly I respect it. This is probably due to the fact that I still haven't understood the thing, and I'm waiting for that day. I'm waiting for that day for this to click. It's a very particular thing. This is even more challenging than some Toskovats. And the Toskovats are definitely weird. They also can be a little bit smelly. I'll feature one in a sec, but they give you a little bit of a hint. They hold your hand and they give you a tiny bit of description to really allow you to solve the riddle. This is still a mystery to me. Super cool. If you feel like being challenged, Bogue is the house to go to. Diving right into it, here's the Toskovat. This one here is Age of Innocence. I already featured this on this channel in a first impression comparison video where I compared this to Nasomatto Fantomas. I decided to pull this one out because it's actually one of the easiest ones to understand despite it being so abstract. This one here tells the story of a distracted kid which is eating some sort of a sweet. The kid then walks into the street, gets hit by a car, and gets transferred to the hospital. Yes, it's that dramatic, that gruesome. This fragrance is really strange. It combines sweet notes and burnt rubber. The burnt rubber is actually resembling the screeching tires on the asphalt, and then the scent just shifts and it goes into this hyperclinical representation of a hospital, very metallic. It's so narrative. Toskovat does amazing fragrances. I really like the bottles. I really like them as art pieces. Are these wearable? Not really. They're kind of stinky, but I really do respect the artistic intent. I really do respect what goes into making something like this, which is replicating the description so accurately. When this clicks, again, it's impossible to unsee. It's really dramatic, really heavy. It's just really stressful. It's beautiful, it's meditative, it's thought-provoking. I definitely recommend Toskovat. Unfortunately, they're pretty much impossible to find. They're always sold out. You have to wait for a drop. It's really unfortunate. I hate FOMO marketing like this, but I guess we can't really do anything about it. David is a young guy. He's producing fragrances on low batches. He's successful. I wish him the best. These are really cool. If you find yourself a sample set, keep it tight. It's super rare, but sample them because they're really fun. The last fragrance I want to feature, I've talked about extensively. It's one of my favorite fragrances of all time. This one here is Meo Fusciuni Varanasi. When you first spray this on, you're gonna be in shock. It smells putrid, it smells rancid, it smells super powerful, and you're gonna be wanting to wash it off. If you hang in there though, this fragrance tells one hell of a story. It's basically the representation of Meo's trip to Varanasi. And Varanasi, I've never been there, but apparently is a very stinky, very overwhelming city. There's a lot going on, specifically related to death. Apparently on the daily, you're subjected to river funerals where the corpses are kind of led into the river to be taken back by nature. It's a fairly dramatic, fairly staggering experience, especially for a Westerner. And this fragrance really represents Meo Fusciuni's reaction to that scene. Then, as time goes on, he gets more and more comfortable with the city. He starts seeing the beauty of the city, the beauty in its inhabitants, the beauty in its colors, and this fragrance really changes. It really tells a story of understanding and acceptance. It's an incredible fragrance. It's so narrative. And again, difficult to understand, but when you see that picture, you will not be able to unsee it. This is art in a bottle. Meo Fusciuni is art in a bottle. Giuseppe Imprezzabile is a true artist. He's a poet. He's one of my favorite perfumers ever. The brand is one of my favorite brands ever. I really like the brand. I really advise all of you to check out a discovery set. You will not be disappointed. But back to Zoologist Bat for my final recommendations and overview. As you may suspect, I'm a huge fan of this fragrance. I'm a huge fan of the House of Zoologist. I really applaud Victor Wong as a creative director. He's amazing. He keeps on doing amazing stuff. All of the fragrances are super characterful, very fun, so evocative and unique. This one here is one of the best from the brand because it comes across as incredibly strange. It really represents Zoologist. It really represents what the brand is capable of. Bat is an amazing experience. Again, it's weird, it's confusing, it's kind of frustrating, it's subtle, it's fleeting, but it's present. It's stinky in the best possible way. This is true niche, it's true artistic perfumery, it's true experimental perfumery. Prin Lomros really never ceases to amaze me. His creativity appears to be endless. All of the fragrances that I've tried from the guy are absolutely incredible. Really amazing stuff. The interesting part about Zoologist that really sets him apart from brands like Toskovat or Bogue is that they feature really good sample sets, really good travel atomizers, and to be fair, for a fragrance like this, a 10 ml travel size will be more than enough. This is absolutely not blind buy safe, unless you're the type of person that really wants a challenge, unless you have expectations of having to learn a fragrance to really fully appreciate it. It's absolutely beautiful. This is the representation of the perfumery that I like. Not necessarily on the daily, but when I want to be moved, when I want to be transported, this is the stuff that really gets to me. If you like this type of content, if you like my approach to video, feel free to subscribe. It's always massively appreciated and it helps the channel. If you want to interact with me, leave a comment, suggestion, or anything down below. I always reply and I always keep the conversation going. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your time. It's never taken for granted. Many more fun reviews to come, many more fun sets to showcase. I can't wait. See you on the next one and cheers.